This passionate and courageous man helped keep the Cold War from becoming hot, providing the CIA with precious information upon which so many critical national security decisions rested, and he did so for the noblest of reason, to advance the sacred causes of liberty and peace in his homeland and throughout the world. Former Director of Central Intelligence George Tenet. In the last 40 years, no one has done more damage to communism than that Pole. William Casey, Director of Central Intelligence, in a letter to Ronald Reagan. Ryszard Kuklinski, a spy on the front lines of World War III.
Ryszard Kuklinski, by those who know his story, is considered a hero who saved the world. Kuklinski was a colonel who obtained information on Soviet plans to attack NATO, revealing the locations and specifications of secret Soviet control bunkers and Soviet spy satellite detection techniques. The estimated 35 to 40,000 pages of secret information Kuklinski single-handedly provided without any personal gain would have played a key role in the USA defeating the USSR if war between them would have broken out. His intelligence helped make important American national security decisions. In 1945, Soviet officials in Poland created a single House Representative Assembly, which was easy for communists to dominate and control. This new government gave Soviets huge influence and power over Poland. Then, on May 14, 1955, the Warsaw Pact was signed by the Soviet Union, Albania, Poland, Hungary, German Democratic Republic, Czechoslovakia, and Bulgaria. The pact seized control of Eastern European country armies, taking away any remaining Polish military independence. The Warsaw Pact was a Soviet counter to NATO, a peacetime military alliance created by Canada, the US, and several other Western European nations. The countries of NATO had established an armed attack against one or more of them in Europe and North America shall be considered an attack against them all. The Warsaw Pact was also very powerful and posed a big threat to NATO. The leaders of the committees controlling the actions of the Warsaw Pact had to be Soviet so that communists remained dominant. By this time, the Cold War had broken out and relationships between the US and the USSR were tense. The US wanted to spread its capitalist ideology, while the Soviet Union communism. Also, the Soviets had just developed their first nuclear bomb to rival the US's. As the Cold War progressed, tensions only increased and the world was on the edge of a nuclear war. Then, on August 14, 1972, a letter arrived at the US Embassy in Bonn, Germany, from an unknown person requesting to meet a US Army officer. The letter also read, "I'm sorry for my English. I am an foreign ma from communistyczna country. I want to meet secretly with U.S. Army officer, Link Colonel, 17 or 18, 1908 in Amsterdam, or 2122 in Ostenda." The CIA decided to respond to the letter and waited for the call. A CIA officer set up a meeting with the mysterious man, Colonel Ryszard Kuklinski, at the Amsterdam train station. Kuklinski was a Polish army colonel who had access to sensitive Warsaw Pact information. Kuklinski explained that he was traveling on a boat named Leg. He had told his bosses that the voyage he was on was supposed to be a surveillance mission to spy on Western ports and naval installations. However, his real purposes were to make contact with the West. Kuklinski said that he had access to Soviet exercise plans in the event of war, tank capabilities and specifications, and a secret Soviet military journal, Vojenna Myśl. Kuklinski explained to the officers, "I will tell you all I know. You can copy all my documents. When I help you, I am helping my own country." Kuklinski was motivated to spy for the USA by the USSR's plans to pursue war in Western Europe. When attacking Europe, the Soviets planned to cross their estimated 2 million soldiers through Poland. Kuklinski figured out from the information he got that the US would need to drop 400 to 600 direct nuclear bombs on Poland, utterly destroying Poland in order to destroy such a huge Soviet force. The US would drop the bombs on Poland because they wouldn't use nuclear weapons in Western Europe because those countries were part of NATO.
They also wouldn't use them in the USSR because that would escalate the conflict, leaving Poland as the only good location for the bombs to be released. Then, when Polish troops were forced to invade Czechoslovakia on August 20, 1968, alongside Soviet troops, Kuklinski's fears were only strengthened that these battle plans would be executed. 2 years later, Polish workers held protests against a government plan to increase food prices and reduce worker wages. The strike spread, and Polish militia was sent to pacify the strikers. The army shot, killed, and injured several workers. These events solidified Kuklinski's plan to give the West information. Kuklinski believed that if he spied for the USA, the US would defeat the Soviet Union and free Poland. With his decision made, Kuklinski began the difficult and dangerous task of gathering intelligence. After meeting with officials in Amsterdam, he was informed that the CIA would communicate with him by dropping letters written in secret writing into his car. The letters could only be read when pressed with an iron. They also established Kuklinski's code name, Jack Strong, while signing the letters. However, he was known inside the CIA as Gull. A few weeks after returning to Poland with no messages from the CIA, Kuklinski began photographing classified documents. Kuklinski made valid excuses to first obtain the documents, like visits to other offices. Kuklinski built a dark room in his bathroom and told his family that he was starting his old hobby again, photography. On December 17, 1972, Kuklinski passed the CIA his first set of photographed documents. After the analysis of these documents, the Soviet division of the CIA sent a memorandum to the CIA's Deputy Director of Plans, saying that Gull had provided a large quantity of very valuable, highly classified documentary intelligence directly responsive to priority national intelligence requirements. Soon after, the CIA provided Kuklinski with 2 cameras. One with double the amount of film capacity as a regular camera, the other one small enough to fit in a ballpoint pen, and water-soluble paper. Kuklinski's sensitive information was stored in walk-in vaults and was Blue Border Series, or top-secret information. One day, Kuklinski was photographing documents with his miniature camera when an officer walked into his office. Kuklinski disguised his movements by making it seem as if he was lighting a cigarette. Shortly after, he saw the officer leaving the building and entering a gatehouse door near a counterintelligence officer. Kuklinski believed that the officer was going to report him. At that very moment, Kuklinski considered suicide. As Kuklinski kept on passing information to the CIA, he had the trust of his superiors and was excelling in his position as a colonel. In August 1978, Kuklinski started to gather information on weapons development and Project Albatros, which included information on the locations and building specifications of key Soviet control bunkers. By providing the U.S. with knowledge about the existence of these bunkers, the U.S. could target them in the event of war, which would deal a huge blow to Soviet war control and planning. In August 1980, Solidarność, a Polish anti-communist political party, led a series of strikes beginning at the Gdańsk shipyard and spreading like wildfire all over Poland. In response to the strikes and in an attempt to destroy Solidarity, the Soviets decided to impose martial law on Poland. Kuklinski, hearing of the Soviets' plans, photographed the final version of the martial law plans. Soon after, Kuklinski was summoned into a meeting with leading Polish military officials. The generals informed everyone that the CIA had obtained the full version of the martial law plans. They warned that the leak could be traced by Polish counterintelligence. When Kuklinski heard this, he knew that he was going to be found out and executed like others if he stayed in Poland. There were only 2 copies of the full version of the martial law plans, and Kuklinski had them. Kuklinski immediately contacted the CIA on November 2nd, and the CIA successfully extracted Kuklinski from Europe on November 11, 1981, after a few failed attempts. Kuklinski was trialed in absentia and sentenced to death in Poland under the charge of betrayal. He lived in the USA but returned to Poland after his death sentence was revoked in 1995.
Pozwolicie mi ten kraj zobaczyć tak, jak go chciałem widzieć.
Some people call him a traitor, others called him a hero. In 2016, the Polish government posthumously recognized his heroic intentions and made him a brigadier general. Though Kuklinski's actions were heroic, he remained a controversial figure in Poland for many years. Declaring his actions heroic would imply that thousands of Polish army men and officers were betraying their country. Lech Wałęsa, the leader and recently revealed communist agent from Solidarity, who said that Kuklinski's actions were heroic. However, even he refused to pardon Kuklinski. Only when Poland was entering NATO after the fall of communism in 1989 was Kuklinski's case re-examined again. Kuklinski received the Distinguished Intelligence Medal in secrecy and was the first foreign recipient of the medal. Normally, the medal was only supposed to be given to workers of the CIA. However, the agency made an exception for Kuklinski. For some Poles, Kuklinski is a traitor, and for others, he is a hero who saved the world.